We're at E3 catching up with Capcom, talking about Street Fighter V, a game that's live, but it is also a game that's going to evolve throughout its lifetime, basically. And you got a couple of big things coming up now. One thing that people have been asking for ever since the game launched, the story mode, finally is coming out. What can you tell us of what you're going for with story here?
So this is the best story mode that we've ever had for the Street Fighter franchise. It's cinematic in nature, it's about 3 to 4 hours in length, and it tells a centralized storyline that lets you play as every single character in the roster and also serves as a free preview for all of the DLC characters as well. But beforehand, we had our character stories. Those were really supposed to set up the backstory that leads up to this big cinematic story. It's called A Shadow Falls. 7 mysterious black moons have appeared. They're giving M. Bison uncontrollable power, and the World Warriors need to rise up to take him on. And it's a free DLC upgrade coming out late June. We think our fans are really going to like it.
It is interesting because I guess you assumed that story mode wasn't something that players wanted right out of the gate. And I kind of thought that that's probably not what players want first thing either. Were you surprised that so many players wanted this?
Well, we always knew that our players wanted a robust story mode, and this has always been part of our plan. It just was scheduled to come out in June. Our game came out in February. We did that to coincide with the start of the Capcom Pro Tour, and we felt like we had a very great, well-balanced fighting game, and that we felt that that was the right time to release. But we promised from day one it was going to be a constantly evolving service, a lot of content for players to look forward to in the future, and we're fulfilling that promise, and we believe that Street Fighter V is doing great, and it's going to be the fighting game to go to for many years to come.
That is interesting because it is something, maybe you can say that as many times as you can, but people come in buying a new Street Fighter with certain expectations that kind of hard to sort of change those expectations. It takes a little work.
It does. I think we should reserve judgment until after this story mode comes out. This is really what I think our fans have been asking for, and I think once they play this, they'll be pleasantly surprised. We are committed to having a very solid single-player and multiplayer experience, and as I said before, I think we're still just getting started, have lots of big plans for the future for this franchise.
Speaking of getting started, we're approaching, as well as the story mode, we're approaching the third DLC character, Ibuki. What can you tell us about her, and what does it add?
Ibuki is a very fan-requested character. She uses ninjutsu. She's got a very distinct style, lots of different movement options. She can use her kunai as a very interesting projectile, both on the ground and in the air. Her V-trigger is also pretty cool. It allows her to throw a bomb, or actually 2 bombs on the ground. You can mix up the timing of those, either to be used in combos or to set up some pretty tricky mix-ups. Unlike any other character in our roster, so we think our fans are really going to enjoy her once she launches.
It is interesting, and you touched on the Pro Tour, your sort of esports initiatives there in the beginning as well. How do you sort of plan to grow that, and what is it, the challenges that comes with a game that's sort of ever evolving rather than a sort of a product that is the way it is, and then you allow the pro players to sort of play on a stable platform? Because I can imagine that is something that is a little bit troubling at times.
Yeah. All in all, our esports strategy around the Capcom Pro Tour has been very successful for us, and even though we've had a few hiccups at the start with Street Fighter V, we've been seeing massive growth within the Capcom Pro Tour. Just about every tournament on the circuit has at least doubled in size. EVO has announced over 4,000 participants this year. That is almost a 100% increase. It's going to be the largest fighting game tournament in history. So we think that's going to be a very great spectacle for Street Fighter V, and we've got even more that I can't necessarily share right now, but we view esports as a very central strategy, and we feel like we have the right strategy, and it is indeed growing. And the game itself is now built for competitive players. We've got a singular platform. We've promised that you're never going to be forced to buy another disc later down the line, never be forced to buy the latest balance updates. As a platform, it's always going to improve and evolve, and always at no cost to the player. If you continue to play the game, you can still earn your fight money, you can still get DLC characters post-launch for free. This is the most progressive and user-friendly business model we've had for the franchise. It serves a competitive player, and we're investing heavily in the competitive scene. So I think we're going to see Street Fighter rise to new heights within the next few years.
It is interesting because the usual sort of thing with Street Fighter is that it goes a couple of years and then sort of an update comes and brings sort of a new mechanic. I understand you cannot talk of sort of the long-term road, but can we expect certain similar sort of mechanical updates as well as sort of new characters and modes to be added to the game down the line?
Definitely. I mean, I think you'll see the game itself evolve like it did in previous iterations. So it will grow over time. It's just we're not forcing users to buy a new disc or forcing people to buy the upgrade. So players now have a higher level of choice than they've had before. If they aren't interested in all the DLC characters, they don't have to get them all as one package. That's how they used to be bundled up together. So you can pick and choose who fits your play style. You know that anytime there's going to be balance updates, those are going to be made available free of charge. So I believe we are doing right by our community and trying to support them. And this is the best platform that we've had for fighting games.
Have you communicated a firm date for the next update, or is it still late June? Or
it's just the end of June at this point, so not a firm date, but it's going to be coming late June.
all right. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.